All right, so without further ado, my name is Lynn.
I'm Lucia. I'm the one who tells bad jokes. Sorry.
I laugh at all of them. And we are the co-hosts of this event, and we are also the co-hosts of Rock the Boat, which is a podcast.
So today we're actually not here to talk about Rock the Boat. We're here to tell you guys a story of a girl and a girl. It's not that kind of story. Maybe it is. But anyway, these two girls started a project that almost didn't happen.
Yeah, so these two girls, or women, shall we say, met back in 2013, so quite a while ago. They met at a friend's brunch, and they were quite different people. One of them was an only child.
One of them was the youngest of three.
One of them grew up in China.
One of them grew up in the suburbs of America.
One of them dreamed about being an astronaut.
The other dreamed about being the Asian American Katie Couric.
One of them constantly thought about monetization.
And the other wanted to give everything away for free.
And one of them cut straight to the chase.
And the other one beat around the bush. So, anyway, these two friends got together in 2015, so 2 years after they met, and they decided to work on a project together, which they called a career handbook, which would help people navigate unconventional careers.
They were both a little hesitant about entering into a working partnership. They were friends, not super close friends, but friends nonetheless, and we all know that working partnerships can be a little risky. And they were a little afraid of rocking the boat, so to speak.
Yeah. And, you know, in the media, people usually portray two women working together as catty, as mean girls, passive-aggressive. Pretty much.
Diverse representation as well.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't have time to Photoshop Asian faces onto this thing. But essentially, women working together is pretty much always portrayed in a negative light in the media. And on top of that, these two women from our story are Asian women. And obviously, only two things could happen from an Asian woman partnership. There's the one path where both of them are quiet worker bees that did all the work and then swept everything under the rug, and eventually things wouldn't work out. Or they were type A dragon ladies who would argue over everything, and then eventually the project would fall apart because they couldn't see eye to eye. So that was really the two paths that this project could take.
And so the word camaraderie comes to mind here. According to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, let me pull up the definition. The definition is mutual trust and friendship among people who spend a lot of time together. And we actually often think of camaraderie in the form of brotherhood, you know, like bros looking out for bros, the white patriarchy. It's actually not technically usually seen in a feminine light. And if it is seen in a feminine light, it's usually in a sort of mean girls, catty, sorority-esque type of way.
So I think a lot of you in the audience are probably wondering what happened to those two women from our story. Well, we're here today on this stage.
Surprise!
And we are dropping season 2 soon, but before all of that happened, we want to take you all the way back to the beginning. When we first started working on the project, you heard it right, it was supposed to be a career handbook. And at first it was smooth sailing until we hit some waves.
So wave number 1, we couldn't agree on which platform we wanted this career handbook to be on. Well, actually, one of us couldn't really decide on it. Lucia, from the very beginning, was very clearly keen on having it be a podcast. I don't think a day passed without her mentioning the startup podcast by Gimlet Media to me every single day. So it was very obvious where her interest was. I, back in 2015, did not listen to any podcasts, so I wasn't quite sold on the idea of making it a podcast. Nonetheless, Lucia is very relentless. She continued to send me a slew of articles. But these articles ranged from the self-help type articles, which was kind of interesting. They ranged in titles with headlines like, 18 ways you're making your life harder than it has to be. Or, here's another one, aggressive or assertive, how to be yourself without pushing people away. So I was reading this and I was like, all right, what are you trying to tell me here, Lucia? And I think there's an insecure part of me that wondered if maybe I wasn't quite fit for this role of being her partner in this. She clearly had her aim set on podcasting, and I was like, this might be better as a solo venture. She continued to send more articles. This time the articles verged into more tactical articles with headlines like, how to get over 1 million earballs in 20 months. And I'm like, okay. Now she just seems crazy. And maybe she really is the crazy dragon lady that I was afraid that she would be. So I wasn't quite sure where this partnership would go.
So on my side of the court, I wasn't sure how committed Lynne was to the project. I knew that Lynne, from day one, she was the right person. So there was no way in hell that I was going to go it alone, because I had done that before in a venture. So some of you guys might know that I previously owned a chocolate business, and I did all of that myself. And I realized that being a solo entrepreneur is awful. So I was like, I'm going to get Lynne to join me. Sorry, sneak peek of what's about to come. But I'm going to get Lynne to join me, and I'm going to send her these really cool podcasts that I think she was going to enjoy, like the startup podcast from Gimlet Media. And I was like, I'm also going to send her some articles on why podcasting's awesome, and also maybe some things so that she can help work out some of the questions that she had in life. And in return, Lynne also sent me some stuff. They were job listings. So I actually got quite a few job listings from Lynne. It ranged anywhere from product marketing manager to podcast editor to director of marketing to director of programming. And I was like, Lynne, what are you trying to tell me? That I should get a job? And funny thing, ironically, as we were launching the podcast, Lynne comes up to me and she says, oh, hey, I found a full-time job at a blockchain fashion startup. So I thought, okay, I think this project is dead.
But here we are. We launched season 1 in January, and we made it happen against all odds. Thank you. So what made this work? Quite surprisingly, our partnership actually worked out, and as we started working together more, things started getting better. And so we thought, let's retrace our steps and think about what actually made this partnership work. What is the magic sauce?
Yeah, so quite contrary to what media tells us about women and relationships, it wasn't catty, it wasn't passive-aggressive, it also wasn't as dramatic as we thought it would be. I mean, I think we're both very level-headed people, and at the end of the day, what it all boiled down to is that I don't shine if you don't shine.
So we did not coin this phrase. Some of you might have heard of this. This is actually quoted from Shine Theory, which is a phrase coined by 2 podcast hosts, ironically, Ann Friedman and Aminatou Sow. They are the hosts of Call Your Girlfriend, which is a great podcast, by the way. And essentially, this phrase refers to friendship and the concept of having mutual investment in each other's personal growth.
And something that I have to credit Lynne with, talking about shine theory, is that she came up with all of these pillars that really embodied our relationship. And the first pillar was inclusivity. We made sure that we were in the conversation and included each of us in all of our emails, our events, and meetings, just to make sure that we each knew what was going on.
Second was amplification. We always joke that the most common phrase that we use in conversation is always, as Lucia or Lynne said, or going off of what Lucia said. And we do that intentionally to repeat each other's statements and really give credit where credit is due.
We're also not afraid to be very brutally honest with each other. So sometimes I will have to tell Lynne that, hey, Lynne, you sound kind of like a robot in this episode.
Yes, she's very, very honest. I also have to stop Lucia from saying something that she might regret.
I'm not very tactful. We also advocate for each other. So when we see opportunities that are available that fit within what we want to do for our careers, we'd usually nominate each other for things.
Like sending each other jobs.
Thanks, Lynne.
And last but not least, there's mutual investment in each other's personal growth. And I think this is really the linchpin of what Shine Theory is about. I'm going to share a quick anecdote of something recent that happened, actually, while we were in Los Angeles filming or recording season 2. So I was a little bit stressed, and I'd like to think that I don't really show that I'm stressed. But Lucia caught on, and she said to me, like, Lynne, I sense a little bit of nervous energy. Is everything okay? And the last thing you want to ask someone who is stressed out is everything okay? But of course, Lucia asked, and I initially deflected her question and didn't really answer, but she pushed because she knew that something was wrong. And that simple question actually ended up becoming a very pivotal conversation for us about things that were bothering me and some underlying issues that we were having in our working relationship. And I give a lot of credit to Lucia for pushing and for observing and recognizing that there was something wrong and taking the time to push pause and check in with my mental well-being. And I don't mean to say this in like a heavy way, but I don't think that these days we do that often enough for each other. And friends, I think some friends will do this, but it is very difficult for friends often to, quote, rock the boat because we're fear of the repercussions or the awkwardness of what that conversation is going to be like. But Lucia wasn't afraid to ask, and I'm really, really grateful for that. And all that to say is that I think that this mutual investment in each other's personal growth has been critical for our own relationship. And yeah,
Thanks,
part of
Lynne,
Theory.
for sharing. I really appreciate your partnership as well. And, you know, I think contrary to a lot of what you see or a lot of what you hear about, you know, camaraderie and friendship is not just about, you know, taking cute little photos together. It's also about just helping each other shine.
Yeah, so I think a lot of us these days are looking for mentors, and we tend to look vertically, we tend to look up. But I'd say look to your left, look to your right, look horizontally. I think the people that you're seeking inspiration in are probably right around you within your peer network, just like we found that in each other, not to be cheesy. But it's true, and I think that you don't really have to look very far to get shit done. You don't. So I want to sort of leave on that note and encourage you all to think about, especially the females in the room, how you will take camaraderie to the next level. We titled this talk F Camaraderie, for female camaraderie, female with a capital F, because female relationships should be taken to this level. And that's the type of camaraderie that I want to strive for, one that goes beyond the traditional narrative of mean girls backstabbing each other and being gossipy and being super competitive and jealous, but really actually just amplifying each other's strengths.
Yeah, so we're here to crush that myth, right, Lynn?
Exactly.
So now we're here, 6 years later. This is a true timeline. Oh, it's cut off. So it's actually longer than this. A true timeline of what it took to launch Rock the Boat. And throughout the ups and downs and the hiatuses and the job changes and the weddings, we stuck together. And, you know, we're happy to say that we actually launched season 2 today in a draft. So it's available for listening on Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts. But we're really excited because episode 1 is about Michelle Phan, and she really embodies the power of women and the power of your own voice. And with that, I mean, I'm just so thankful for our partnership, and I hope we can all help each other shine.
Absolutely. One quick thing for the men out there, you can also help your female counterpart shine as well. So,
amen to that.
Inclusive. Thank you.